Vice Chancellor?
Be able to, right?
Yeah, it's Friday night from 5 to 9
Five to nine.
at Rosewood.
I'll be able to go.
I'll be there.
I should.
If you're not
Good evening.
No, we'll be there together.
I would welcome you all to the Finance Committee meeting of April the 22nd, 2015. Could I have a roll call, please?
We have present today Marilyn Jordan, Joan Fontes, Tom Worthen, David Hurd, Ellis Bailey, Jeff Langen, and Bonnie Jean Catulli.
Do I have any citizens' participation at this time? I would like to congratulate, is it Bill, on just being appointed the editor of the Wareham Weekly? Congratulations, Bill. I would open the public hearing on the 2015 annual and special town meeting warrants. Any special questions? I always love this part. All right, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing. Second. Public.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to get a couple of small items out of the way. Mr. Town Administrator, it looks like we have additional information on special town meeting articles 1 and 2. Would you review those with us and the possibility that we may be able to reconsider our votes?
I'm going to pass out some documents.
Okay.
Before Bob yells at me, I have the mic on. I'm going to pass out some of the documents. These are the transfers. They have been updated by the town accountant since the Board of Selectmen, so I'll need them to vote on it again. But I said the last version I'll have in anything should have final stamped on it, so they stamped final. So this is what we're going with. And the first item is, you'll see you have a column transfer to, and then you have the column transfer from. So we'll be seeking a transfer to veteran service expenses from the town planner salaries. Item 2 is a transfer to inspectional services, professional services from inspectional services salaries. And if you remember, our Director of Inspectional Services or Building Commissioner, Mr. Moore, is basically a contractor, if you will, so he cannot be paid out of the salary lines. Police salaries, $20,000 transferred to, from police expenses, $20,000. I appreciate that this is I think the first time in several years that we're not seeing a transfer from an outside budget line to the police budget. This is an interdepartmental transfer. Library salaries, $18,988 transferred from library electricity. The library director wanted to use the grants that they had available, and they used those for the electricity or the expense portion, so they will have those funds to cover the salaries. Streetlights, electricity, a transfer to in the amount of $35,000 from municipal maintenance salaries, $35,000. The streetlights, if you notice, we increased the budget this year. We know that one's been underfunded, and the increase in the NSTAR costs, or whatever they're calling themselves nowadays, Eversource, yes, did not help us. Transfer to municipal maintenance, repair, and maintenance vehicles, so that would be an expense account from salaries, $5,000. Town administrator salaries, transfer to $7,300. Transfer from town accountant salaries, $7,300. I have a longtime employee, probably feels a lot longer for her retiring, and when they retire, they're paid out such as vacation time and partial sick time. Treasurer collector expenses, transfer to from treasurer collector salaries, $2,000. And elections and registration, purchase services transferred to from elections and registration salaries, $3,000. So again, that's within essentially that, those two were from within their own departments. The total amount of transfers is $196,714.
Do you have any questions?
I have one.
Go ahead.
On the Veteran Services Town Planner, since we don't have a town planner, is that what?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask another obvious one, Derek. I mean, that's $40,000 in salaries for municipal maintenance. Is that because we didn't fill a position, or?
That's correct. We had we ended up not filling a 4-person position that we had funded, and we deleted that position from the FY16 budget.
Okay. Any other questions? I will entertain a motion to reconsider our vote on Article 1 of special town meeting line item transfer.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to reconsider the vote on Article 1 of line item transfer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? I would entertain a motion to rescind our vote of Article 1, line item transfer.
Make a motion. We rescind our vote on line item transfer, Article 1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Any other discussion on Article 1?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I make a motion to insert for Article 1, the paper here for transfers and transfers from, that we just discussed.
I believe it's listed as Appendix 1 here in the back.
Is that listed as appendix 1?
Yeah.
No, that, I would do it.
Oh,
This
this
would
is a
be
new
a new-
page? Oh,
yes.
I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah.
So this is what belongs to me.
So we need to substitute.
Correct.
Thank
So
you.
we will have, basically, you're going to see some changes in a
All right.
town meeting. We're going to have one handout document listing each one, and they will be referenced within the motions of either article.
Okay.
Of the articles, excuse me.
Okay, so we're going to insert this new information, this page, as substitute for Appendix 1 in voting on this article. Any other comments, David?
So I move that we vote in the affirmative to make the transfers that Derek discussed earlier, which are now the new Article 1.
I have a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 2, 4, 6, 7, huh? All right. Mr. Town Administrator? We have a capital plan, it looks like on Article 2 for FY 2015.
Correct. The only change I would say in this is when you look at it, you have a grid within your packet. You'll see the first item is the town clerks, and it would be 6 image cast precinct tabulator bundles, also known as voting machines. We anticipate the cost of $39,000. We will have to get the proper quotes on those, but the town clerk was diligent in getting at least one quote that we could look at. So, now, the funding source for that I have in here as FY15 certified free cash. In that our funds are always fluid, I'm going to seek that we would have, look at this, $29,000 from free cash. So it'd be transferred from FY15 certified free cash. $5,000 from FY15 assessor's expenses budget. Then we need an additional $5,000 that we've been searching through the lines. Right now, We'd been looking at unemployment, but we do expect an increase in June, even though it's phased down, so it wasn't proper to use that. So I'm going to look at workers' compensation line. We have approximately $24,000 in that, so I'll remove $5,000. So the total amount will be $39,000.
Okay.
$29,000 from free cash, $5,000 from assessing expenses, $5,000 from the workers' compensation line. The next item is the Harbor Master. It is the four-wheel drive diesel vehicle. This is the truck and equipment. This is a multi-year lease. We anticipate for this vehicle a 4-year lease. And this is the 4-year lease should be run roughly $13,500 a year. However, the first year there's additional equipment costs. The funding for this will be transfers from the harbor service permit fees. So it's receipts reserved for appropriation account. And in doing this, and in putting this all together in this article, we'll be able to pass over Article 3, because we'll have put together the purchase plus the funding mechanism for it. So that is the vehicle from Article 3. The third item, we're calling the Community Service Officers Parking Enforcement, which is a mid-size four-wheel drive truck. The cost for that is $13,400. It is a 3-year lease on this item because it's a much less expensive vehicle. And the funds are from Article 4 of the Fall 2014 Town Meeting. If you remember, we took $80,000 from the parking kiosk fund to fund the parking program. We're seeking to use this because we've hired, as we promised, we're calling them community service officers, but those that can ticket for vehicles parking improperly. They can issue tickets on the beach for littering, for dogs being on there, but they do need to get around, and we don't have a vehicle. This will provide a vehicle for them, and in its own way, it is a self-funded program. Although, I'm sure some people or the town accountant will cringe, we can still use that vehicle for other items as well. And the last one is for the water pollution control facility. That is a 2015 CAT 930M wheel loader. It's also known as a front end loader, one of the large machines we've already talked about that his went down. They use that, that isn't just for snow plowing. That's used for daily operations when they're doing the deragging in the plant, when they're moving the paint, actually not paint, but when they're moving the wood chips. That's what they use for some of the deodorizing and such. That is an item that's used every day. Now, we're going to do a 3-year lease. However, we funded this in the FY16 budget in the amount of $180,000. We have an estimate with a V-plow attachment for that. That's a little bit less. I would like to just keep it at $180,000 so that when we get a true bid on there, we're not surprised. Again, this will be funded in the FY16 budget, and as part of it would be, once that vote goes through, that's the funding. So we're just really seeking the approval to purchase this item.
Okay.
We're going to still, in speaking with Mr. Campina, we're still going to keep it as a lease. We're trying to get that as soon as possible because their machine is down. And in doing it as a lease, it gives us a full year with no interest cost on there through the state bid list to be able to purchase it. So we could purchase it right away and we don't have to make a payment for a full year. That's why we don't have the money in the FY15 budget, but we need the equipment right away.
Good. Okay, I will entertain a motion to reconsider our vote on Article 2, FY15 capital plan of the special town meeting warrant.
I move that we reconsider our vote on Article 2, FY15 capital plan.
Second.
Your mic's not on. Okay.
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second to rescind the vote on Article 2. All those in favor? Say
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? I will entertain a motion to rescind the vote on Article 2 FY15 capital plan.
I make a motion to rescind the vote on FY15 capital plan.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to rescind the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Any other questions, discussion on Article 2?
I would like to amend or open Article 2 for a revote based upon the discussion that Derek had today, where the funding source for the town clerk will come for the voting machines will be $29,000 from FY15 certified free cash. $5,000 will be from the FY15 assessor's expense budget, and $5,000 from workers' compensation line, for a total of $39,000. In addition, the harbor masters, I believe the cost will stay the same. It's a 4-year lease. And the first year is $20,000. The subsequent years will be
Squeeze you in somewhere.
$15,500, and that still will come from harbor service permit. And in the water pollution control facility, we're looking for $180,000 in the FY16 budget, and that again will be a 3-year lease.
We will, we're calling at least, we do plan to pay it off within the first year of that, so we will not incur any,
Interest fees.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? I'll entertain a motion for approval of Article 2.
Make a motion for the approval of Article 2 of the capital plan as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval on Article 2 FY15 capital plan. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained?
Did you vote for that? Yeah,
All right, so those two are taken care of. Jack, we don't have any other additional information or anything else that's still pending, am I correct?
Now, the,
No.
Article 3, you'll need to vote, since we're going to
Rescind.
pass over that one,
Oh, well, now that it's part of the,
part of Article 2.
part of Article 2. What did we do here? I don't know, it's the pleasure of the committee. I mean, if you really want me to rescind it, it's kind of like we're gonna pass it over at town meeting. I
Yeah,
think it's-
if you want to take the action
Yeah,
at town
I don't
meeting,
think
that's
it's gonna-
fine.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Nothing else that has any additional information?
I do have information for Articles 5 and 6. We have received a draft audit on the health insurance trust funds. The net position at the end of us being self-insured, if you will, before we move to the Mayflower Municipal Health Insurance Group, less any funds we've sent through to Harvard Pilgrim and Blue Cross Blue Shield. Looks like the net position is $883,571. The next item I'll get from them is how that is split between town and employees, because that's the net balance of the fund. I would recommend that we place $200,000 into this account. This will allow us in fall of FY16 to transfer sufficient funds over to the Mayflower Municipal Health Insurance Group, that we will not have to pay the funding for the 3rd year of the 3-year buy-in. Since we will only be self-insured under dental, that should keep a balance of approximately $200,000 in there. Our entire dental liability for the town employees is $400,000, so that would be an IBNR of 6 months, where usually you hold back 2 months.
So you're recommending we take the actual $200,000 into this
Yes,
at this time?
and the $200,000 will come from the health trust line. We knew that when we set the budget together that we may not be able to get into the Mayflower group and realize those savings, so we had to budget for the full amount if we were to remain self-insured, because again, we solicited to go into the Mayflower group. They had to vote to accept us, and we did not know the actual time frame of when it would work out. So we look to have a surplus in that line of about $275,000. So I would recommend the $200,000 taken out of that line. That is just a health-to-health transfer, if you will.
Okay.
So the transfer of sum of money is, the sum is 200,000.
Correct.
Okay. We took a no action vote on this particular article. I'll entertain a motion to reconsider the vote.
Make a motion to reconsider the vote on the Article 5, the Health Insurance Trust Fund.
I have a motion and a second to reconsider the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? I'd entertain a motion to rescind our vote of no action on Article 5, Health Insurance Trust Fund.
Make a motion to rescind our vote on Article 5, Health Insurance Trust Funds.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to rescind the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Discussion? Questions? No other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval of transfer of $200,000 from the Health Trust line into the Health Insurance Trust Fund.
So moved.
I have a motion of approval and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? And so now we're on to Article 6.
Yes. So as I've stated, there is, we project $275,000 available in the health insurance line at the end of this year. So I would like to transfer $50,000 to the Plymouth County OPEB Trust, or PCOT. That's what we just joined. This is to go against our other post-employment benefits liability, which I believe at this point is close to $78 million. By funding it now, and actually having that, it will change the valuation where I believe we're at 4.5% with paying as you go. By putting funds in there, it should immediately move you up a percentage in there, as well as we need to start funding these liabilities.
Mr. Paulson is clapping wherever he's sitting and watching us.
I'm sure he's saying not enough.
So this again is coming from that health trust line, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So that leaves a balance on,
Approximately $25,000 on the estimate.
and that's gonna stay where it is right now.
That would stay where it is. Anything unexpended would flow to free cash or help offset any deficits we might have, such as snow and ice.
Thank you.
Okay.
One other question, Madam Chair, you said
Go
that
ahead.
it's 4.5%.
Bring your mic down there.
Thank you, sorry. Derek, you said 4.5%. By putting the 50,000 in, you think that'll change to what?
I believe it will increase it a percentage point on there. I can pull the information for you, but
No, just-
anything when you, I would say at least one. I thought it was bringing it up to 6.5, but I don't want to over.
So at least 5.5 you figure anyways, okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
It also will help us fully remove the hit of not funding our OPEB liability from the management letter.
Okay, that's a good thing.
In a year or two, it'll be, you're not funding it enough, we'll get hit for it, but at least we'll remove it right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Derek, could you explain the 4% to the 5+% on the
To
OPEB?
When you do pay-as-you-go, you get a discount rate on there of roughly 4% for the funding. When you move and you actually start putting funds in there, your discount rate will go up. In other words, because you have liquid dollars in there, you're getting an investment return on there, which increases essentially your discount rate.
All right, so it's the return on our balance in the OPEB.
Yeah. And you're going away from pay-as-you-go to funding the obligations.
Thank you.
I can have a clearer write-up for town meeting as well, which I think may be appropriate.
That would be very good.
Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to reconsider our vote on Article 6, Plymouth County OPEB Trust.
I make a motion to reconsider our vote on Article 6.
Second?
I have a motion and a second for reconsideration of the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? I will entertain a motion to rescind our vote on Article 6.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to rescind the vote on Article 6. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, any other questions, comments, or discussion on Article 6? So we're gonna transfer $50,000 from the Health Trust line into the Plymouth County OPEB Trust. I will entertain a motion of approval.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion for approval and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. And was there any change of the police union contract?
Yes, the selectmen voted to ratify that contract, so it will go to town meeting for funding. We have the estimate of that. It's two contracts, one for fiscal 12, fiscal 13, and then it runs fiscal 14 through 16. The total for the estimated retro on that would be $235,000, which would come from certified free cash from FY15, which would actually leave a balance of $130 in certified free cash.
Right, so that is your plan, $235,000 to fund this contract from FY 2015 free cash, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do we want to revote this article at this time?
Yes. I'll make a motion that we rescind our vote.
Reconsider first.
Reconsider. Excuse me.
I have a motion to reconsider the vote on Article 7, police union contract.
Second?
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Entertain a motion to rescind the vote we took.
I'll make a motion to rescind the vote.
Second?
I have a motion to rescind the vote and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Any other discussion or questions?
Just-
Go ahead. Go ahead, Marilyn.
So the two contracts, the fiscal year 12 through 13, that's retroactive,
Correct.
right? So that's coming out of certified free cash for fiscal year 15.
Correct. That's
And that's the 235,000?
No, you also have fiscal years 14
And
all-
16
and
through 6.
15.
Okay,
16 we've budgeted, and we have that in the FY16 budget.
okay, so this is 14 and 15.
And this is one of the major issues we have when we've had all our contracts in arrears. When you finally come to agreement, you have to find out how to fund them.
So this funds everything that's in arrears, is that correct?
Correct. Through FY15.
Through
So-
F15?
So
and
through the end of the
you
year as
covered it
well.
for
whatever.
16 and what we're voting in the budget?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's 235,000.
35,000.
235,000. Tom, you have anything? No? Go ahead,
So
Marilyn.
what was, again, what was left in free cash?
About $130.
That's what
And I'm
I'm
thinking, I'm going to
saying.
speak to the, I may just move that, add that to the motion to take the $130 out, so we don't have to worry about accounting for it through the recap process, so. I just didn't want somebody to think I was making up the money for it.
Do a pizza party?
Yeah.
Pizza party, yeah, like.
You accepting recommendations on what to do with 135 bucks?
130, don't think we have too much money.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
All righty then.
One other question?
Go ahead, Dominic.
So this is, with your contract, everything, so this is completely done. There's gonna be no hidden things that are gonna come up or anything. You've satisfied everything up until the end of 15 for that amount of money, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the transfer of $235,000 from FY 2015 free cash to satisfy the retroactive portion of the police union agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Wow, we're just getting right along here, aren't we?
It's amazing what happens when you guys have the information, huh?
I know.
It is, it makes life
You've
easy.
made me like so happy. All right, so the only ones I really had left on here, I believe, were annual town meeting, Article 5, which was an FY 2016 capital plan.
Yes, and I do have the items for that.
Oh, and we've got that too?
Excuse me, Madam Chair?
I'm trying to spoil it.
So on the special, they're still on 15, they're gonna take that off, is that what you said?
What are you saying, honey?
On the special, we voted for everything, the only no action is 15, is that because that's still gonna be taken off
Who's
though?
gonna take it off?
That's,
Who's gonna,
that's my
I'm
question.
Refreshing my memory.
further study?
Yeah, I don't believe there's been any change to that, no.
Okay, so we have favorable action on everything.
Yes. Yes.
Except for 15, and that's gonna be further study.
Yes,
Thank
that's gonna be
you.
for further study.
Okay, so that one's done.
Take one down.
You got it.
Meeting was there, I have it.
Take one down and pass it along.
I like that.
It's on the warrant, you have to, wait for the study.
This goes in here, that one's done. We got this one here.
All right, you'll see essentially 3 grids. A water pollution control grid, a school capital grid, and a town capital grid. The first one we'll go through is the water pollution control capital. Did Mr. Campina present this during the budget session?
He didn't really present it so much as it was listed with his stuff, and we were talking about like $1 million worth of capital, so now we're only talking 826,000.
No, this is.
Plus the 180, I
You
gotcha.
got it, yeah.
Thank you.
So
I
we're
can
over,
add, that's why I'm on FinCom.
so we're over $1 million. You said 180,
And you will be $1,006,000.
$1,006,000.
So the first item would be, or items would be 3 generators at a cost of $110,000. Most of the generators are in items such as the pump houses, or they're even the portable generators. We know when they've gone down, you can have backups on there. So, Mr. Campina, actually, if you remember, we voted for a a capital improvement program or a study to be done. We're probably saying, wow, $1 million is a lot. I believe the estimate in that when it finally gets presented to us was we need to do roughly $5 million a year for 20 years. So to keep it in perspective, this is not even keeping up with the actual needs, but I'm happy we're doing it. You'll see $264,000 for the rehab of pump stations and piping, plumbing, and collection. Some of them are rotting away, the piping. One of the major issues as well is the backflows, the stoppers for the backflows. Some of those are staying open. So you can have where the product, as Mr. Campino likes to call it, can flow back through, which clearly is an issue. Aeration tank, which is the rehab of the concrete walls and structures. By its very nature, the product that moves through is acidic, and that is rotting away on the concrete. And this is still essentially the best method, and it's much cheaper to rehab it, to redo the concrete walls and the structure on there than it is to rebuild it. An outbuilding. This is one that we've really thought about. It's $100,000 for what's being called an outbuilding. It's a 50 by 100 foot building to store equipment and vehicles. It will also be to build the foundation on there and run electricity into there. When you're purchasing equipment, and if you leave it out in the elements and such, it absolutely reduces the life expectancy of it. We need to start taking care of what we purchase and the equipment. The next item is a clarifier, $72,000. New baffles, the metal, and looks like there's I'll change that. There's sandblast and paint. So the clarifier, if you've ever seen it, is that it's the round structure with almost the arms that go around it, spraying throughout there. The bearings are going in that, so they need to be completely redone. So if you don't have those, it obviously won't spin and do its work. And the plant water system, rehab of the water system. This is very interesting. You have you have an outflow into the river system, but they actually reuse some of that potable water as well to spray onto the product, to clean it out, and some of those have been breaking. It's actually a very efficient use of it, so we need to rehab those pipings and such and keep it moving. So I don't know what the pleasure, if you want to go through each of the items and then vote on it.
Yeah, well, I think
And
so.
then an overall vote.
It's gonna get voted as a whole. It has to be at town meeting,
Right.
right? Okay, let's do that.
Okay. So the total is the $826,000. I removed, the loader had been in here, but I removed it since we're already seeking the authorization in special town meeting. And all of these, the funding will be approved in the FY16 budget. FY16 water pollution control budget.
Sorry.
The next item you have is school capital with Chromebooks and laptops, a total of $300,000. The funding source for this would be borrowing. I'm seeking a motion from the bond council on this. This will be borrowed and financed over no less than 3 years. The reason for that language is if we can move it out to 4 years, I would like to do that, but the functional life of these, it's whatever bond council will allow, and it should be no less than 3 years. The first payment should be assessed in FY17, so there will not be an impact to the FY16 budget. This is the Chromebooks and laptops. Obviously, we need to get this equipment to our students. This is trying to bring them on par with the other students, and anybody going into college, if you're not updated on this equipment, it's clearly not helpful. I'm sure there's probably something better I could say to school people, so I apologize.
How many?
On that one, I believe.
400?
No, I thought we had. Oh shoot! I had the information on there. I thought we'd had close to, I'm sorry, yeah, look at it. If you give me a moment on that one, Tom? 300. 300, thank
300.
you.
Thank you.
1,000 apiece.
Yeah, I think it would be less than that. There's also, you have support equipment with that, such as the carts that you need for them as well to move from some of the rooms south. I don't believe they'll, yeah.
What grades?
That's not being determined yet.
I think the answer was they're trying to figure out where they could best use it. They have started with the Chromebooks before in there, and they're going to, we know we need them. They're just going to have to put them where they would best be utilized at this time. It's one of the highest priorities to get it to the students. Ideally, you know, it's, we work together. Ideally, it would be for all the students, but we know we can't do that right now.
Are these,
Why not?
Realistically, I don't think we can pay that back at the moment.
are these assigned to individual students, or are they in general use?
I am afraid that, Ms. Shaver, if you don't mind coming up to the mics over there, so I'm not giving false information.
I don't know, Derek, if you would give it false news, I don't waste.
Yeah.
Turn on the mic if it's not on. The green?
It is
Okay,
green.
great.
Good evening.
Evening.
Right now, we would not be assigning them to individual students. We're not ready to do a one-to-one. And so we presently are looking, recently we took the park at the high school, and every student had to have an individual computer to do that. So depending on what type of testing will take place next year, as well as what other projects we have going, they may be distributed toward the middle school, high school. If that's the case, then we will take some of the iPads that are currently in district and redistribute to the elementary, so there's availability for all our students.
If money was not a concern, how many would you buy?
If money was not a concern, we would at least double the purchase.
So it's a matter of some of these other items being more important than Chromebooks?
I don't think the school would say that, but I think overall as a town need.
It's all a question of your personal priorities, I suppose.
It's a good start.
We all,
That's,
yeah.
I think that was my question to the whole town, was where are your priorities, so.
Certainly, if we could afford to purchase more computers, we would. We're finishing the infrastructure, so Minot and Deacon's will be fully wireless. We also have made the high school and middle school fully wireless. Next year, the way they do E-rate reimbursement is changing, and so the E-rate reimbursement will not be able to offset like purchases of equipment, but more infrastructure. So that's the reason why we're able to upgrade our infrastructure. In turn, it then will certainly support wireless devices. As we move forward and we purchase technology, gone is the time when we outfit labs. It certainly is the laptop or the Chromebook that will go into the classroom. And that's why we've asked for the 300.
So is this 300 for 300,000 for 300 Chromebooks and supporting infrastructure? Someone mentioned
No,
cards.
I'm sorry. Infrastructure's in our budget.
Yeah.
It's reimbursable with the LEA. I'm just giving you why we're able to do the wireless, because we were
Okay.
able to support it.
Chromebooks are like $250. How come so few for so much?
it's over a 3-year period, it's a lease purchase.
It's a lease purchase, but you're still getting 300 computers for $300,000.
We were looking at approximately $100,000 1 year. The following year, we would purchase another group of computers and roll into the lease.
Okay.
I need help.
I need help also.
I think, yeah, we just got
Yeah, I
confused.
just-
Yeah.
I'm
So
lost.
we're not talking 300 computers in the first year, is that what you're saying?
For what, approximately, Derek, I'm not sure what she put, what's
Yeah,
in the
that's,
line.
we had, it wasn't in the warrant, it's part of the capital plan, so, Mr. McMillan had sent me an email on it that I'm trying to pull up. We
Okay.
did a full, total of $300,000. We thought before that, if you borrowed it for the first year, the cost would be, 100,000 plus
Mhm.
whatever interest would be on there. If it were on a 3-year, hopefully you can get it a little lower. Originally, during the budget process, I think you had 100,000 in for the year. And we talked about, can we borrow and get more, product for our abilities?
So if you're putting in the 300,000, then we would certainly double or triple our request.
Right. So that'll be, so you're looking at,
Are we getting 900? Are we getting 300? How many are we getting?
We'd originally asked for 300. If we're going to borrow with the 300,000, then we would request 900.
I mean,
And that covers you?
Does this pass? Generally, accountants basically don't allow you to borrow against this kind of a purchase. In fact, most businesses expense them now because essentially they're obsolete in a year.
Yeah, this is a little,
This is
very-
allowed, though.
Yes,
We've
it's
already
allowable.
done it.
It is allowable? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
When
a
you
business
talk-
accountant would just look at you like, what are you doing?
yeah, but these are a little bit different. I can't say that they would be obsolete in a year, not this
No,
this
it's
sort of
probably a couple of years,
technology.
but.
Maybe 10 years ago, this kind of equipment, as it came out, was obsolete in a year, but they're certainly supporting it a lot longer.
especially in a school.
I have Michael's email if,
Go
just
ahead.
on the majority of the district's desktops use Windows XP operating system. As of April 2014, Microsoft no longer supported or updated Windows XP. As other applications and software programs cease to support or provide updates for Windows XP, this presents security and functionality gaps for our schools. The districts have a threefold response. 1, convert computers to Windows 7 where possible, around 50%. 2, make greater use of cloud technology, e.g. Chromebooks, etc. 3, purchase laptops for teachers where software still requires Windows and will not run in the cloud. In addition to these technical challenges, our educational curriculum priorities require more students to have access to devices and the internet. Chromebooks are cheap, user-friendly, and effective means to enable that. Finally, the testing associated with Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers, or the PARCC, is conducted online, which requires whole grades to have access to the internet concurrently. As this is expanded to the middle school, this will require many more devices be available. So when we talked about, it wasn't just, we wrote Chromebooks and laptops.
I
It
remember
wasn't
that,
just,
yeah.
So I don't have the exact numbers on this. I do have more capital item requests that we are unable to fund, so, yeah, but this was we felt was the highest priority and best use of our available funds.
So,
Go ahead, Dominic.
so, basically, I mean, to put an exact number on it, I don't really think, is an exact necessity. I mean, we're gonna get $300,000 for the school, Chromebooks, laptops, utilize these funds and the way it is. I mean, if you guys wanna put, 100, 103, I don't think that number is That's super important, that's
When you
my
deal,
opinion.
and if I may, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
when you deal with this many items as well, I will never put a number in there.
Yeah,
Because if we say 100 Chromebooks, you can only buy 100 Chromebooks.
right.
You can't do any more. So, yeah, I understand that this is essentially an estimate, but that is usually what we have to work with, especially when purchasing from the procurement, because we're not gonna go through all the procurement yet. You know, you can get the estimates on there, but you're not gonna go through the whole rigmarole, get the purchasing, what if you don't have funding available? In fact,
Right.
that's one of the items that you usually are asked, so.
I'm not gonna split hairs on that, just 1 minute, Jeff. I'm not gonna split hairs on that. I do think that, having a pretty good estimate, because if we asked, somebody else at town meeting's gonna ask. And the only reason I said that is because it's come back to FinCom members in the past, where we've purchased, we've gone for like leases on vehicles, and we were told it was 3, and then it was 2, and then it was, and, the public has come and asked us, well, what happened to that? So I do think it's important to at least have a reasonable estimate of how many, or what sort of equipment, how many laptops it is, and how many Chromebooks it is. And I do remember him saying that it was a matter of replacing the laptops that aren't supported anymore. So that was part of that. It's not just $200 Chromebooks, unfortunately. That would be a lot.
And I know the gentleman had,
PC 500 is
Yeah.
reasonable.
yeah, I know they had a lot of information. I'm sorry I didn't add it to this. I just.
That's fine. I mean, like you said, not too much details in the fact that you're stuck with that when you go to procure. I totally get that. Jeff, you had a comment to make?
Yes, thank you. This conversation doesn't ring any bells in terms of accuracy. When the school committee considered the operating budget for the following fiscal year, there was approximately $100,000 worth of technology upgrades, including a number of Chromebooks, for all the reasons that have already been articulated. When it became clear that $100,000 in the operating budget was going to be a problem, then the town administrator offered to capitalize that piece of the operating budget, which we appreciated, which allowed us to reduce the operating budget. And I don't have any specific recollection of the number of individual devices associated with it, because as the town administrator said, there are a number of components to the technology upgrade. But that's the 100,000 is what is in my memory banks, and I'm sure other school committee members, with respect to what was taken out of the operating budget.
Okay.
But I still think $300,000 capital for the school is still low, just,
Well, it's
I
low,
agree,
but it's a
right.
question of what we can afford.
right.
David, do you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Swett, you just said that we took $100,000 out of the operating budget, and we're looking at $300,000 here.
Not in the operating budget.
No, this is an expense. We took $100,000 for IT improvements out of the school committee operating budget. And we have a capital request for $300,000.
But it goes for more than 1 year.
And so I'm just wondering why the,
Well,
why
that
the
must be a
differential in
multi-year
this.
request,
Right.
because it has nothing to do with, excuse me, it is not consistent with the FY16 expense that the school committee approved. And ultimately, it was changed to be capitalized perhaps over 3 years, but it's, your consternation about the number of devices we might be getting for
I'm
300.
not asking that.
Okay.
I'm sure you're going to do the best possible for the town in the number of devices and the types of devices.
And
I'm just confused. That's over the differential $200,000.
so am I.
I'm gonna take a stab at that, and remember, Derek can correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to leasing equipment, okay, it has to be like a certain amount over a certain amount of years, otherwise it doesn't qualify,
No.
as like a capital lease.
Right.
That was my understanding. We got into this with vehicles too. It had to be 3 years, otherwise,
But that's
you
multiple
couldn't
years
legally
on
do it through municipal finance.
17.
So, well, I mean, realistically, if, for a total of 100,000 on borrowing, and I do know that they had reduced the budget on there, for the 33,000, maybe if with interest went up to 35,000 a year. Going through everything, you'd much rather have a larger purchase on there.
Mhm.
So, but, Mr. Sweat, if it's, I did receive an email on this, I thought it would work out well for the school, so I'm fine with whatever.
Just, the real reason I came up here was to respond to Mr. Worthen's concerns about technology in the schools. We are at the beginning of a strategic planning process, which is going to take a hard look, perhaps at 10 or 30,000 feet, at the whole issue of how we educate kids in this district and how we can do it better and more cost effectively. I don't think it's necessarily true that more technology is necessarily the answer to that question. I think technology absolutely plays a critical role, but I think you can get, overly enamored of technology, and what we're about is educating kids, and that's a lot more complicated than just the latest Chromebook or a Chromebook for every kid, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll be back to you, so that's a big picture issue. On the smaller picture issue, we will be prepared to answer any question about exactly what this money is going to be used for, so that whether it's the Finance Committee or a member of the town meeting voters, we'll get a very specific answer as to what we're going to do with it if they approve the appropriation.
Very good. Craig?
Chromebooks are very internet dependent. Did you say your infrastructure is in place to run these? They don't have much for programs on them.
They have nothing virtually.
Yeah.
You're running them in the cloud.
It's in the
Correct.
cloud.
You can run 300 of these at the high school or middle school or whatever.
The good news
On the
is
day you get them,
the good news is recent experience with the park testing, which we've done, showed that the infrastructure was up to the task. So we've had considerable improvement in the infrastructure over the last couple of years, thankfully. So the answer to that's a long answer to the short answer would be yes. We're prepared to. And remember, the virtue of the Chromebook is, yes, it's nothing really but an access to the cloud, but it's also so simple that, there's the problems with hard drives don't exist.
right?
I think one of the simple ways that you did it too was have as many people as possible open up a YouTube video on there, which takes a whole amount. And if everybody can run the YouTube video at the same time, that's one of the simplest tests.
I think the question isn't so much, do we want the students to have this kind of stuff? I think, we do. They have to have it in order to be successful in their life later on, because it's a job requirement in virtually every job that you're going to go look at. The question is, at least I think that Dave was trying to get at, was, okay, so $100,000 is no longer in the FY16 budget. It's now a capital. At some point, that capital has to get paid back. It's an obligation that's going to show up in 2017, I believe. Mm-hmm. Is the school committee prepared to, at that time, make whatever changes in order to accommodate paying that back in 2017?
I don't think that happens.
Yeah, I don't think
That's-
that's.
Doesn't happen quite like that, no.
Yeah.
Well, I would
Maybe I'm
love to get them to
oversimplifying,
say yes. I don't think that's where,
Because
You
then
know.
it's gonna come out, it's still the same pot
No,
somewhere.
No, it's coming into our
It
budget,
winds up
yeah.
on the town
On the
side.
town
Am I
side.
correct? On the town side of debt service?
it winds up on the debt service, which is not necessarily the general government side. That's just
Exactly.
the line item side.
So are you prepared then, at that point?
Sure.
I am
Suck it up.
prepared that if we can get if for 3 years we were going to put within a budget, let's say $300,000, I would much rather borrow it now, get it going, because I think the
Yeah.
future, if you've looked at any other community, the way they're surviving is putting a lot of money into the borrowing right now for their infrastructure and any of their capital needs, including such equipment.
Because that's the question, the town, somewhere it's gotta get paid back, and the
But we-
taxpayer's
we
gonna have to
talked-
pay it
We
back.
talked about this, and these are the highest priorities,
Yeah,
about borrowing smartly, consistently, keeping our debt service at that level. and making improvements a little at a time, and they're improvements that are long overdue. We have to agree with that. A lot of
When
it's
you don't
long.
pay taxes, the calculation is very different from a private business meeting.
Yes and
Second.
no. I mean, some of us
I-
struggle with, it's still a business that has a goes in and goes out, so
Okay.
somewhere.
All right, go ahead, David.
What we were talking about with capital was maintaining a capital debt and capital payments over a prolonged period of time. So I assume that the assumption is that we have debt coming off, we're paying it off during these various years, so our expenditure on an annual basis will not be increasing for our capital debt. Is that correct, Eric?
All right, I'm going to give you a half answer. Yes and no. No, I absolutely think we need to increase our capital debt, and it's the only way we're going to survive. So it's going to be my recommendations as long as I'm here until we get a proper capital line in there. Or as short as I'm here, because things happen. So,
All right, but again, we still have to make annual payments.
that is
And
correct.
That's going to affect what else we can do within the town. So we have to be more efficient, we have to use that capital to be more efficient.
Yeah, but debt service,
You still have to pay it.
No,
It's like a
it's-
mortgage.
I understand, Madam Chair, but what I was explaining before is our debt service has been going up and down and down, and it's better to keep it at a level debt fund.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, unfortunately, our debt service has been going down. We've been using it to balance the budget. What it really should do is, you're correct.
Correct,
State-
should be.
it should create a-
You know what we can afford and draw a straight line and use that debt service for capital. And just spread it out and just keep it going, and that's how we're gonna get these items for the school, for the town. It just needs to be.
Especially now that it's cheap.
Okay,
They think
are
it'll be
we,
cheap forever.
could we move on from this particular section? Go ahead, Tom, one more.
Not quite on the same issue, but I would be very prepared to make a case for a Chromebook based on the experience of other school systems and other users of it, to justify either the advancement of performance for the students or the cost of generating performance, a combination. Or else we're spending $300,000 for nothing.
Agreed.
Okay.
Okay, I thank you both. All right, we have one more section here, Derek, town capital.
Yes, then the first item is on the police cruisers. There'll be an item that needs to be changed. If you see the cost of $206,000, that should be $200,000 even. All right, so I'm going to go through this and then go through each line and then basically explain back what's going on. So the items are police cruisers. The total cost, including the outfitting of them, would be $200,000. The funding source is from the Walmart mitigation funds, which when they receive a certification of occupancy, there is $350,000 due the town, of which $100,000 goes to water pollution control. So, and $250,000 is for public safety. Now, we can use those funds, the $250,000, as a one-time deal, or again, we can keep on moving and trying to expand and use our dollars in the best sense possible. The description is to seek the authorization to lease and equip 4 police cruisers. Yes, it is a capital lease. It will be a 3-year capital lease estimated at $62,000 a year. One-time equipment costs are estimated at $14,000. That's not $14,000 per unit, that is $14,000 total. The first year will be funded out of the $250,000 Public Safety Walmart Mitigation Fund. This does not impact the FY16 budget. The second item is the EMS ambulance. I have a total cost of $245,000. The funding source is the Walmart mitigation funds. This is to seek the authorization to lease and equip a 4-wheel drive ambulance. It will be a 3-year capital lease estimated at $77,500 a year. The ambulance is estimated to cost $230,000, with an estimated $15,000 in one-time equipment cost. The first year will be funded out of the $250,000 Public Safety Walmart Mitigation Fund. This does not impact the FY16 budget. So the total, the 451 is incorrect with the additional information. It'll be 445,000. I'll make those changes for the handout. If you remember, during this year, we had originally proposed for the police budget $137,000 so we could start the cruiser purchases. We reduced that number so we could use the Walmart Mitigation Fund. The EMS ambulance, this would be added in future years to their capital line, of which we already have $80,000. This ambulance, plus the one we already have, and keeping in with our purchasing a new ambulance every 3 years, will keep us with good equipment, functioning equipment. In fact, this is through March of this year, well, it's really mid-March, we have received, not billed, not anything, but received over 1.2 million, where at the same time last year, we were, I believe, a little bit under $1 million. This is because we have another ambulance running. We are essentially running 2 day shifts on there. It's the, and that is, we get paid back, if you will, from them as an offset receipt in that they get, they charge for their services. Yeah, I think not everybody's probably been here to hear the anecdotal evidence, if you will, that 1 year Bourne bought a brand new ambulance. I believe their ambulance was over 300,000. This was one of the giant ones, and they were talking to one of our guys, slapping the side, and said, "Hey, we bought this through the runs we did into your town." So now I know I often speak in dollars and cents, especially to the finance committee, but having active ambulances that are running and having a properly staffed department is also a major public safety issue, and is good for the residents of this community.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question, just
Go
to
ahead.
increase my understanding? The ambulance service is basically self-funding or
Correct.
better.
Correct.
Why do we have to take money from the Walmart mitigation fund? Is that just so we have a source and then it comes back to free cash, or?
I need an additional ambulance to have more running, and I don't
Right.
believe we'll generate enough revenue in the first year. We are increasing their budget for FY16.
So you can't just assume it'll make enough to pay itself off?
Correct. If it doesn't make enough money, it does reduce our fund balance, which would reduce our free cash into the future.
Okay.
So,
So we just need to have a light on where it's coming from in real dollars that are already here, rather than
correct.
it'll be fine.
I had hoped to do these items, the police cruisers and the ambulance in the FY15 capital, but if Walmart does not receive its CO, certification of occupancy, before the end of the fiscal year, we would essentially be in a deficit situation, because we need to actively have those funds before the end of the fiscal year, and it's just not worth playing that game.
So, as far as I got that understanding, this will be for the first year on the police cruisers in the EMS, and I understand how the EMS is gonna pay the second 2 years off, but, where are we going to budget this, the police cruisers for years 2 and 3?
Right now, they should be going through their last payment in FY16 of the 3-year lease. However, I will be seeking to increase their capital line, because after 3 years, the cruisers are essentially useless. We'll have, I think some of them will have close to 150,000 miles on them. Yes, they will run, but yeah, that's 150,000 miles for a police cruiser is not like having it on a Toyota Camry. They should probably have engine hours actually on them for the amount of wear and tear and such.
So to replace that, so just go back to under your leasing program, we just get the next lease, a new lease for 3 more.
Correct, and it's, Chief Walsh has, we're purchasing the all-wheel drive, the Interceptor packages from Ford, which are the SUV. We did purchase in the last go-around the Ford sedan Interceptor, but that's also all-wheel drive. These are turning out to be cheaper than what we had before, and not going necessarily with as many bells and whistles as you would for, for extra costs. So I appreciate that he's getting the best possible product for the dollar and not going crazy on it.
Okay, go ahead, Marilyn.
I just have a quick question. So the 62 and the 14, and the 77.5 and the 15 comes up to 168.5, and we're getting 250. So that leaves a balance of 81.5.
Right.
And we're supposed to give 100,000 to water pollution control. What happened? Where's the other?
No,
25?
there's 350,000, of which 100,000 goes to water pollution control.
So how come
leaving-
this says 250?
250,000 goes to the public safety. 100,000 goes to the water pollution control. That's 350,000 that we're getting from Walmart.
Well, that's confusing. So we should say it's 350 is coming from the mitigation funds, not
Okay.
250, because somebody's gonna ask the same question I did.
Okay. I can clarify that. Thank you.
All righty then. I will entertain a motion to reconsider our vote of Article 5, FY 2016 capital plan. Everybody fall asleep on me?
No, I don't think we need to reconsider, we never voted.
Yes, we did. Oh, no, we didn't, did we?
No.
No?
We
Yeah,
never
we
voted on
did,
this
we
one.
voted.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a vote.
You did?
Yeah, we did.
No action.
We took a no action vote.
Okay, all right.
Do I have a motion to reconsider?
Second.
I can't make a
No,
motion.
there's actually.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to reconsider the vote. Article 5, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. I would entertain a motion to rescind our vote on Article 5.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to rescind the vote on Article 5. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Any other discussion or questions on Article 5, FY 2016 capital plan as presented in the handout with the correction of the police cruisers being 200,000, not 206, and the total at the bottom for that section should be 445,000. Any other questions or discussion?
Is this gonna be just one item, sum total of all these dollars?
Yes. You're voting on the capital plan as presented in this handout.
Right, and the motion will be a little different because we'll have a borrowing item in there as well. But as far as the finance committee vote, it's one lump sum.
All right,
Just thinking of wording, so we shouldn't put this number in there yet.
what that, the motion's gonna be a little different. I mean, as far as, it's going to say for the funding source for certain particular things and borrowing for the capital item in the middle, et cetera. We're just seeking approval of the capital plan as a whole. Do I have a motion for approval?
I make a motion to approve the capital plan as presented this evening.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Article 5 FY 2016 capital plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Derek, the only other thing I had that I was curious as to whether there was any additional information, was the street layout on Article 21 there was supposed to be a public hearing on the 13th. Does anybody attend that by chance?
I did not.
I did not.
Anybody know what the,
The shot way?
yes?
Yes.
Do you know what the vote was by the planning?
I checked with the selectmen in Slavin, and the planning board has held its hearing, everything is all done, the selectmen took their vote. So it's all set.
Yeah, because I don't have a vote for the selectmen here. Did they vote again afterwards?
They had a special selectmen's meeting on Friday,
Okay.
and it actually is posted in the town clerk's office in the required amount of time,
Okay.
so everything is a go for that article.
Do we,
Okay, do you guys want to retackle this article? I don't know what the information is, what the planning board vote was, so I'd have to get that before town meeting.
do we know the Board of Selectmen's vote, Madam Chair?
She said it was voted approval by the selectmen.
It was,
I can look on my phone. I don't think they gave me the vote. I'll be-
Four zero zero?
okay. Then I think we can vote if they voted. Obviously, if everything is okay, they wouldn't have voted that way.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I believe if the selectmen, Madam Chair, through you, I believe if the selectmen voted in favor, I believe everything should be in line, I think we should.
Do you feel as though you have enough information having presented by the, and you don't feel as though you need the, vote of the planning board?
I would like the vote of the planning board.
Okay. I would too, so I think we're gonna
Okay.
hold that, that would be our one item that we're gonna hold
Right,
before
do it
town
right
meeting.
before, okay,
Okay,
that's fine.
and I'll try to get those votes from there.
That's okay.
All right, I think we've cleaned up all of that nonsense from there, and I'm sorry this has taken so long, Mary Ann. I'm not even sure, because she's had to hang out with us for all of this stuff. All right, how do we want to do this? Do you want to skip over the ones that we've obviously openly discussed them here? Go ahead. You know what, let me do two things, just so Kelly can get out of here. I got approval of meeting minutes for March the 25th, 2015.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes of March the 25th, 21st, 2015.
Second?
I have a motion and a second for approval of the meeting minutes of March 25th, 2015. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? One abstain. Two abstain. All right, I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April the 1st, 2015.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
There's a couple blanks in there, can we just?
Names.
What was that?
There are a couple blanks of, for example, when the woman from the cemetery committee came in, I think it's.
All right, so we'll
Deborah.
hang on to that one then. If maybe we can fill that in. I'm pretty sure Madam Moderator knows the lovely lady's name.
I looked it up, it's
Debbie,
Debbie.
Miss
It's
Deborah
Debbie.
Jean Rose.
Yeah, it was, it's on the website, I figured it was Debbie.
Okay.
You put that in and everything's okay, I think that's
Okay.
the only.
All right, we'll hold that one until later. Other than that, we're all set. And we will be meeting Monday, April the 27th at 6 PM. I'm sorry, we got more done tonight than I thought we would, but she already posted it for 6. So we'll have coffee or something in the cafeteria, and I'm gonna let Kelly go home, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Madam Moderator can come up in the chair. We'll bring legal counsel up too? No, you're gonna sit back there? Okay. Yeah, which do you wanna do? You wanna?
Pass your folders down, guys. Folders with Kelly.
Everything changes, I'll let you know in 5 seconds on this.
I'll leave that for you. Can everybody pass down your folders so Kelly will have
Waiting
them
on
all?
one more, that's all.
And
There
won't
we
get
go.
lost.
Thank
Very
you.
good. I'm gonna grab a glass of water. Okay. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
I'm not following.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
But then, he said that, but he didn't write it, he doesn't have to change anything.
Appreciate that. It's the best gift ever. Yeah, well, she said she'd rather sit up there, but okay. All right.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
No, that's okay. I thought of yelling, but you may have the mic.
I just want to thank the Finance Committee for the opportunity to do a town meeting preview, which will give the people at home a chance to just get a brief synopsis of the warrant that's coming before us on Monday evening. I would ask that the voters who are attending, please show up early enough to check in so that we can get started right at 7 o'clock. For some reason, people come at 5 minutes of 7, and then we're waiting for check-in, and we have lines, and it delays the opening of town meeting. I really think if we can get started on time, you know, we have a fairly simple annual meeting this year and special town meeting. I think we can do it in one night if we really start and get down to business. There's not a lot of complicated articles, and I'm really thinking we can do this in one night if we get started promptly and keep our comments on track. And tonight, given the time too, rather than the way we have done it in the past, what I would suggest is maybe if the Finance Committee wants to give a synopsis of the actual Article 1 and just a synopsis of what it is, you know, the subject matter, and then we can have the town administrator give the explanation. And again, he doesn't have to go into great detail, but a synopsis with the maybe financial information that hasn't been available, and I think we can get through this fairly quickly. So if we want to start on the annual town meeting on Article 1, I don't know how you'd like to allocate this to your board members, if we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and around, or?
That's okay. John, you want to just summarize what the article is? Can you do that?
Are we working on the annual or the?
On the annual.
Is it easier to work on from the booklet or from the?
No, those motions that
Yeah,
you
they're not-
received are just were the first draft, so they're not correct at all. Some of them are correct, but some have had
Okay,
changes.
should we start with Article 1, the election of officers?
Yes.
Okay, easier probably for me to read it. To choose the following officers: 1 selectman for a term of 3 years, 2 assessors for a term of 3 years, 2 school committee members for a term of 3 years, 1 deputy moderator for a term of 3 years, 1 housing authority member for a term of 5 years, 2 sewer commissioners for a term of 3 years, 2 sewer commissioners for a term of 2 years, and 1 sewer commissioner for a term of 1 year. Read the explanation, or?
No, this is a routine but important article for the town's annual town meeting. It has no immediate financial impact on the proposed budget, and it's always the first article in town meeting, and I believe all these positions have actually already been voted.
They have. The annual election has already happened. Article 2,
Recurring business, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen and/or the town administrator to apply for, accept, and enter into contracts from time to time for the expenditure of any funds allocated or otherwise available to Wareham by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts or the U.S. government under any state or federal grant program or activity. Inserted, do I need to read that? Inserted by the,
no.
yeah.
Do you want to go through all of them and then we do the
Yeah.
items?
Yeah, and then if you want to go on to B, and you don't have to read the entire thing, if you can summarize it, that would save a little bit of time.
Okay, well, this article was inserted by the Board of Selectmen at the request of the town treasurer and collector.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, so we'll go through, we'll go through, we'll do A. Once you say A, I've said A, we'll go to B. A is obviously a housekeeping article which authorizes the Board of Selectmen, town administrator to accomplish legal and administrative details necessary to enter into agreements Item B is a housekeeping article, which it allows the town treasurer to maintain sufficient balances in town accounts to avoid service charges. And then C is a routine but important item because it complies with the state's law requirement that these public bodies report annually to their constituents. And item D, there's a housekeeping item to ensure the town conforms to the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection's regulations under the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust Title V Septic Loan Program. And it authorized the interest earned on loans made to individual homeowners be used for the program's administration and make other loans.
Article 3.
Oh, 3, okay. To see if the town will vote pursuant to general laws, chapter 41, section 108, to set the compensation of elected officials and further to set the compensation of certain appointed officials.
There's only three officials: the moderator that receives $118 per diem of the meetings, not every day of the year. The town clerk, their funding is $69,332, and the registrar receives $700 per annum.
Article 4.
The FY16 revolving funds, to see if the town will vote to approve all of the following general laws, chapter 44, section 53.5 revolving funds.
Appendix 1 is in the back, and that's accurate. It'll have the changes to the library, which the spending limit is $30,000. It will also have the article that you see in the special town meeting for the tax title revenue. And the rest of these, again, these are the revolving accounts that we are allowed to have, and they fall within the DOR's guidelines.
Can I ask Madam Moderator how we're going to handle those situations?
We take that as a consent agenda and vote it as just one article.
Well, I'm just concerned of, because the tax title is actually, does it need to be approved separately, and then?
Yeah. You'll have the special town meeting comes first, which you'll take the action on the tax title, and then this is the town meeting authorization.
Okay,
So
make sure we got procedurally work good.
we had the uh-oh moment too, but we figured it out.
Article 5. Capital.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer a sum of money from available funds and authorize borrowing subject to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7 or 8, or any other enabling authority for the purpose of capital improvement projects, including replacement of vehicles and equipment and repairs to and improvements to town buildings, facilities, and waterways.
But I believe we've already gone through the capital plan.
Yeah, this is the one that we just spent
Right.
quite a bit of time on, the water pollution control, the school capital, and the town vehicles, so.
Okay. 6, to see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate transfer from available funds or borrow such sums of money as are necessary to fund the annual operating budget of the town for fiscal year 2016.
And this is the budget that's in the appendix. It is a balanced budget. The total budget amount, including Upper Cape Cod Tech and other assessments, is $57,454,559.
Article 7.
7, to see if the town will vote to accept from the Mass Rail and MBTA a release of property interests and reversionary clauses found in the train station deed on file in the office of the town clerk.
Mass Rail and the MBTA have expressed a willingness to surrender reversionary rights that they hold on the old train station property on Merchants Way. That's not to be confused with the new Cape Flyer station facility. So a town meeting vote is required to accept this property interest and will give the town the ability to fully utilize the property.
Article 8, Upper Cape Cod Regional Vocational Technical School, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate any transfer from available funds, a sum of money as its share of the operating and capital costs of the Upper Cape Cod Regional Vocational Technical High School District for the fiscal year, July 1, 2015 through June 30, 2016.
The Upper Cape Cod Tech assessment for FY16 is $2,836,635, and Superintendent Dutch will present at town meeting the budget.
Yes, and we will take up that budget at the beginning of our meeting. Mr. Dutch has 5 towns that he has to attend town meetings at, and in fairness to him, because we do a lottery system, he may end up staying at our meeting if we went a second or third night. So in fairness, we've always taken that budget article first, so that he doesn't have to depend on the lottery and he can get to his other town meetings. Article 9?
9, WPCF Enterprise Fund, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money from the Water Pollution Control Enterprise Fund. Salary and wages, expenditures, includes debt, in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 53F and a half of Massachusetts General Laws, to defray the operating and capital expenses of the Water Pollution Control Enterprise Fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2015 and ending June 30, 2016.
The total revenue for the WPCF in FY16 is $8,033,073, of which the expenses are $7,160,117 in the, if you will, the direct plant operations, and $872,956 in the, if you'd call it the indirect, from anywhere from healthcare costs to insurance and other such liabilities that the town pays on their behalf.
Article 10?
Create sewer capital stabilization fund, to see if the town will vote to create a sewer capital stabilization fund for the purpose of funding any capital-related project or pieces of equipment or debt service payment related thereto, as authorized by Chapter 40, Section 5B of the General Laws.
The establishment of the Sewer Capital Stabilization Fund creates an account which town meeting may, in its discretion, annually fund. Any such appropriation by town meeting into the fund would create a reserve for the purchase of equipment, capital-related projects, or would be capital debt service payments.
Article 11?
Supplementing sewer capital stabilization fund, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds a sum of money for the purposes of funding the sewer capital stabilization fund established by Article 10 of the April 27, 2015 town meeting.
We will be passing over this article as no appropriation will be made to the stabilization fund. Capital, this one for the WPCF.
Article 12?
Appropriation to the EMS, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money to the Emergency Medical Services Salaries and Wages account, the Emergency Medical Services General Expense account, and further to authorize a sum of money in estimated receipts of the emergency medical services to be used to offset said appropriation in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E.
So the total appropriation would be $1,330,177, of which salary represents $1,007,958, and expenses represent $322,219.
Article 13?
New fees for weighing and measuring devices, to see if the town will vote pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 98, Section 56, to establish new fees for the testing of weighing and measuring devices as set forth below. Need to read all the different scales, 0 to 100-pound capacity.
No, the warrant is actually posted on the town
It's gonna be
website,
on
so it's
the-
available for people to look at that.
Okay.
Adoption of the fee schedule will replace the existing fee schedule, which is more than 10 years old. It will bring the fees in line with neighboring towns and will make the position self-supporting.
Article 14?
Manufactured homes, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to petition the General Court to enact legislation in substantially the following form, provided that the General Court may reasonably vary the form and substance of the requested legislation within the scope of the general public objectives of this petition. Need to read them?
I think, yeah. We're all on the same page
Don't
on
push
that
your
one.
luck.
At present, the state does not allow Wareham to count manufactured homes as part of its 10% quota for 40B housing. This article seeks special legislation that would authorize Wareham to count these properties as part of the 10% quota.
Article 15.
CPC article, onset boat ramp, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the Community Preservation Fund estimated FY16 revenue under recreation, a grant to the Town of Wareham Harbor Master Department, the sum of $100,000 for replacement of the deteriorated 12th Avenue boat ramp located at 27 East Boulevard, Onset, Mass., Map 1, Lot 1015B, Book 1914, page 228.
The total budget for this project is $167,500. The additional $67,500 is from the Bouchard oil spill settlement for the 2003 incident, which was anticipated to be released in December 2014. The Onset boat ramp serves as our only publicly accessible ramp within Onset Harbor and allows a safe location for boaters, kayakers, fishermen, and businesses to access the water without having to go to neighboring towns to launch. This ramp is vital because it serves as an access point for emergency responders and the harbor master.
Article 16.
CPC article, tennis courts, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the Community Preservation Fund estimated FY16 revenue under recreation, a grant to the Wareham Public School District, the sum of $90,000 for the construction of 3 tennis courts to be located at the Wareham Middle School and High School campus.
Excuse me. The total cost of the proposed project is $180,000. The additional $90,000 has been secured by an anonymous donor. The Community Preservation Committee cannot pay for maintenance, so this will be provided through private or school district funds. Fire lane concerns have been addressed in the design in cooperation with the Wareham Fire Chief and 2 members of his senior management. The existing tennis courts by the high school are insufficient to support community and school use. These proposed courts are needed to assure active participation by the community and all students, since tennis courts are a part of the physical education program.
Article 17.
I thought 17 was moved to the special.
We'll pass over.
Yes,
The
the Article
pass-
17 was an article that was placed on the annual warrant that should have been placed on the special town meeting warrant. So it was moved to the special, so the action on Article 17 will be to pass over this article.
Okay, so this will not,
Good question, if you'd like to come up and ask for it. They want to do the project within this fiscal year, and so therefore it has to go on a special town meeting warrant in order for the funds to be immediately available. Otherwise, they would not be able to do anything till after July.
so this one does not have to be read. Okay. 18,
18.
CPC article, FY16 reserves, to see if the town will vote to increase the FY16 reserves to reflect the additional community preservation funds expected to be received from the state match as follows. Historic preservation, $81,200. Open space, $81,200. Affordable housing, $81,200. Administration, $40,600, for a total of $284,200 from FY16 estimated revenue.
This request is to increase the 10% reserve and 5% administrative fund, reflecting the additional expected $812,000 in estimated FY 2016 revenue as required by law. The total 10% reserve for the 3 categories, $243,000 plus 5% administrative, $40,600 totals $284,200. Was there something we needed to change in that?
Yeah, it's to establish the FY reserves,
To establish, not increase.
not increase.
All right, so that would be, the request is to establish, not increase. Thank you.
Where was that?
Right here.
So if you
Article 18,
To establish, not increase, okay.
They're both established?
it's establishing their annual budget,
So
yes.
the description of the article on page 15, to see if the town will vote to establish.
It should be established,
Right, and the
Right.
and the motion will reflect that.
both places, yeah.
And then explanations established, both.
Correct. Article 19,
Okay, roof and boiler for Deacon's School, to see if the town will vote to appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds an amount of money to be expended under the direction of Wareham School Committee for the feasibility study for the installation of a new roof system and boiler for John W. Deacons Elementary School, 760 Main Street, Wareham, 02571.
This article is proposed as a placeholder article to be used should the district be successful in its application to the MSBA Accelerated Repair Program for repair of the roof and/or boiler. Town meeting article would be necessary if such an application was successful, as funds would be required for the project's feasibility study. I have to look into that. I think I had some updated information. I'll send that out, whether this is a passover now or not.
okay.
There was one article, so don't let me get too crazy on it till I...
Article 20,
Adoption of Mass General Laws, Chapter 148, 26H. To adopt Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 148, 26H.
I'm not going to read this entire explanation, but the short answer is the Wareham Fire District and Onset Fire District are requesting this adoption to ensure public safety to the occupants of lodging and boarding houses. Numerous congregate living facilities have appeared throughout the town of Wareham. This type of occupancy is transient in nature and can exceed the usual limits of a single-family dwelling. I think that's fair.
Article 21,
Is this a petition article?
this is a petition article.
Street layout, to see if the town will vote to accept the layout on file with the town clerk of the following roads as public ways: Bashant Way and Lynn Road, and further that the town authorize the Board of Selectmen to take by eminent domain or accept as donations portions of the privately owned property that include the layout of said roadways. And the petitioner is Diane Murphy.
This article is to request the roads known as Bashant Way and Lynn Road be accepted by the town as town ways.
Okay. We also have a special town meeting which is scheduled to fall within the annual town meeting at 7:30. So we open town meeting, we probably will do the budget from Upper Cape, we may have enough time for that. And then we recess our town meeting and go into the special and act on the special. So Article 1,
Line item transfer, to see if the town will vote to transfer sums of money within the budget lines as voted in Article 6 of the 2014 annual town meeting.
We've gone through those items previously, so I think that's sufficient.
right, we went through those items earlier. This is the capital plan that was talked about earlier with the items for the town clerk, the harbor master, the park and enforcement, and water pollution control. So Article 3,
That's the passover, we'll pass over that article.
We're passing over Article 3, the harbor services permit receipts.
What's a pass?
yeah,
It's
that,
contained in Article
it's
2.
contained in Article 2.
Okay.
So Article 4,
Article 4, accept Mass General Laws, Chapter 60, Section 15B, an act relative to the establishment of tax title collection revolving funds. To see if the town will vote to accept an amendment to the general laws Chapter 390 of the Acts of 2014, specifically Chapter 60, Section 15B.
This article seeks to establish a revolving fund for the purposes of paying fees and costs associated with recording and filing documents, land court fees, legal fees, and generally costs associated with the tax title process. Fees that were added to taxes, tax title, and tax foreclosures would be credited into this account. The actual taxes collected would still go into the general fund.
Okay, Article 5, the Health Insurance Trust Fund, and Article 6, the Plymouth County OPEB was discussed earlier in fall. Article 7 was the police union contract, which was also discussed earlier. So we'll move on to Article 8.
Okay, lots and graves account, to see if the town will vote to rescind Article 19 of the spring 2014 special town meeting, so that the $90,000 authorized is returned to the RRFA sale of lots and graves account. And further, vote to reduce the amount authorized in Article 14 of the spring 2014 annual town meeting from $32,000 to $12,000, so that $20,000 is returned to the RRFA sale of lots and graves account.
This article seeks to rescind previously approved articles so that $110,000 is returned to the receipts reserved for appropriation sale of lots and graves account, so there's enough money in the account to fund Article 7. Article 9, unless,
Agawam Cemetery, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $170,000 from the RRFA sale of lots and graves account for the purpose of purchasing a lot of land known as 4 and 6 McPhillip Way, located in the town of Wareham, as more particularly described in a filing in the town clerk's office titled Agawam Cemetery Expansion, for the purposes of expanding Agawam Cemetery.
yes, and first, if you go to town clerk's office, it's asked for Agawam Cemetery expansion. I asked for the Mac Phillip Way, so it is there. So it is available. And this article seeks to transfer $170,000 from the receipts reserved for appropriation, sale of lots and graves account for the purposes of purchasing property that will be used to increase Agawam Cemetery. If Article 8 passes, there will be $206,008 in the account, and this article will leave a balance of $36,008.
Right. On these two articles, because we do it by lottery, if Article 9 happens to come up before Article 8, we will revert to Article 8 first, to take Article 8 before we take Article 9.
And do both, yeah.
So Article 10,
Additional liquor license, to see if the town will vote to petition the legislature for special legislation for an additional year-round all alcoholic liquor license to be exercised only at 167 Onset Ave, Onset, Mass., Map 1, Lot A. Such license will not count against the town's liquor license quota.
This article seeks to petition the legislature for an additional year-round all alcoholic. It's basically the same explanation as the article.
we might want to just identify where 167 Onset Ave, there may be some people at home that say, okay, where is 167 Onset Ave?
The actual name of the building would be,
Or general neighborhood, it's the building that the Salernos are, the
renovated.
Show a picture.
the old Onset Hotel.
Flash it out there.
Tom, who are you talking to for the picture?
A picture of the lot, of the land, what we're talking about.
Yeah,
That
this
building
is
there.
just as you
During the meeting, not right now, right?
go up.
No, I mean, at the
At the
At the
meeting,
meeting?
at the meeting on Monday, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, maybe we can go down and take one and send it to Matt.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. It's always nice to have
Everybody
photos.
knows where it's a great looking building.
It's on Google, this is true. Google Maps, yeah. Article,
I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Go probably take a,
Article 11,
oh,
overlooking Onset Harbor.
oh, I'm
Your
sorry.
daughter gets-
Article 11, Oakdale Playground, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the community preservation unallocated funds or any available monies in the community preservation fund under Recreation, a grant to the Wareham Open Space Committee, the sum of $45,000 to fund rehabilitation at Oakdale Playground located at 23 Apple Street, Wareham, Mass. I know where that is.
The Town of Wareham's 2010, 2007 through 2017 Open Space Goals and Recreation Plan listed 21 playgrounds and 3 additional open spaces. 3 open space areas, excuse me. The town's goal is to expand and improve recreational facilities for the residents of Wareham. This site was chosen to be the first model project because the residents of the Oakdale neighborhood have spent hours addressing the condition of the playground and have proven their dedication to maintaining the site. Community preservation monies cannot be used for maintenance.
Article 12,
Rescind prior year bond authorizations, to see if the town will vote to rescind the following unissued balances of prior year bond authorizations.
This is a housekeeping article, and affirmative vote will remove these authorizations from our books. I just want to be perfectly clear on here, these are not dollars coming back to us, these are just, they were borrowing authorizations, so they're just liabilities that we have on the books. So unfortunately, it's not additional revenue, it's just removing liabilities.
Article 13,
Allen Street, to see if the town will vote to rescind the vote taken under Article 14 of the 2008 Fall Town Meeting concerning 18-20 Allen Street, Assessors Map 50F, lots 140 and 141.
The property located at 1820 Allen Street was put into custody of the Board of Selectmen through to be dispersed through the Mass General Law, Chapter 30B process in anticipation of sale. The subsequent sale was unsuccessful, and in order to recommence the sale of this property, it needs to return to the custody of the treasurer collector and placed back on the tax roll. We had a very successful tax sale of properties, and we're looking to continue and have this item as part of that.
Article 14,
Article 14, generator, to see if the town will vote to amend the action taken under Article 6 of the 2010 Fall Town Meeting by adding the words "and police station" following the words "upgrade of generator, multi-service building."
The Capital Project Committee sought funds at the 2010 Fall Town Meeting to upgrade the generator at the Multi-Service Center. The request was granted by the voters. However, it's come to the attention of the town administrator that the generator at the police station will more adequately power the Multi-Service Center and its elevators. I think we were just a little backed up on this. We have a generator within this building. We're in the Multi-Service Center. That generator will not power when the power is out, the elevators go to the top floor. However, it would be able to be used in the police station. The police station has a, I'll be aggressive and say an ancient generator that cannot fully, will not fully provide service to the police station when power is out. That's, I remember in Nemo, they had lights off, they had everything. I mean, it was a dire situation. That is one of our command centers. So we have these funds available. These are actual funds of $70,000. What we're seeking to do is remove the generator from this facility that works. It is a good generator. It's just not strong enough for this building and the elevator. Bring that to the police station and install it there, which will be a much needed upgrade and will serve that facility. Then we have enough money within that line to put the new generator in this building, which will allow the elevator to fully work, and that will follow through with the original article with these changes. So this is, I'm happy that instead of just following through and putting a new generator in here, we've thought about the process.
I like that you included the original article in the back so people can see exactly what was the change.
Yeah.
That's great.
Article 15,
Amendment to junk dealer bylaw.
That was gonna be passed,
Have
right?
we,
They would pass that, right?
For, I thought I was gonna, holding it for further study or something?
Yeah.
We haven't finalized the motion on this, but I believe the intent is further study.
Okay.
Okay, so should we read it, or?
Yep.
Okay. To see if the town will vote to amend Division 2, Article 2, Section 1, by deleting from the first sentence the word 5 and inserting in its place 25, or to take any, replacing 5 with 25.
This article seeks to increase the number of junk dealer licenses from 5 to 25.
So that's what we have for both our annual. Are there any questions from anyone in the audience that you have? Seeing and hearing none. Again, I really and truly think that we can do this in one evening if we stick to what is before us for the discussion and we don't migrate to things that aren't relative. Often people sort of divest themselves and get a little carried away. If they can focus on what the question and what the motion is before us, I honestly and truly think we can do this in one night. So
Be great.
it would be wonderful if we could. It really would. So I encourage everybody to come early so that you can check in. We'll get started right on time and we should be able to move right along. So again, I would thank the Finance Committee for the opportunity to at least give the viewing public a chance to see what's coming up. These are available in the Selectman's office. If you want an advanced copy, it's on the website. It would be helpful if you do have the capacity to go to the website, print it out, look at it over the weekend, and bring it with you when you come to town meeting would be helpful as well. And if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to call either the sponsor of the article or the town administrator or the Board of Selectmen. If you have a question on it, they'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Those two just having a little chat over there.
The Red Sox are ahead.
Oh, the Red Sox are ahead. That's big news. Everybody's
love you
smiling.
guys. I love
Okie
you
dokie
guys.
then.
Just sit next to our administrator who has to play by play.
I want to thank Madam Moderator and the Town Administrator for going through these articles with us, as well as the Town Clerk and Legal Counsel for sitting in case we had any questions. Thank you both. Our next meeting will be at 6 p.m. on April the 27th in the cafeteria. Do I have any other business, anything that we neglected to bring up? Okay. Is there anybody who's definitely not going to be here Monday? Let's see, procedurally, I think we'll do like we did before. Joan, you're such a good speaker. Yes. So, I mean, if we get it through one night, we'll be all set. You and I we'll take turns do our thing. Yeah? David, you do a great job. I'm going to do some explanations or some recommendations on the ones we re-voted. So I'll get a printout for that so that, we'll have those new recommendations available on the floor. Jeff, you have something? You look impatient. What's up? No? Okay. All right, I thank everybody for being here. I thank everybody for their hard work this Springtown meeting season. It's so good to see so many of us, here at the meeting, getting a quorum and all that. I do want to let the public know that there will be at least one more opening on the FinCom immediately as of May 1st. And there will be at least 2 more openings on the Finance Committee beginning July 1st. So if anybody is interested in serving on the Finance Committee, please get that intentioned into the clerk's office, Board of Selectmen's office, that you would like to be interviewed for the Finance Committee. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you very much.